right, you guys from Foretoken are here. It's Dan speaking, and we got Steve as well. And joining us is Astralborne. So we got Jayson and Derik.
How you doing, guys?
So what we're trying to do tonight is just have some beers, hang out, just talk. So hopefully you guys want to sit around and hear us talk about beers and hear us talk about other stuff. So so that being said, who's thirsty?
Hey, man.
Right here, brother.
Right here. I know I am.
All right.
Hopefully
Cool.
we're not incredibly boring. I guess we'll find out.
Well,
Then don't. You have control over that.
we get a little better when we're drunk, so we'll try to expedite the process.
Cool.
So yeah, we were trying to coordinate beers, obviously across country a little bit. We did pick for the menu tonight a Kolsch, a brown ale, and a stout. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and pour this boy. For our Kolsch, we have the Reisendorf
Nice.
Kolsch.
Those are expensive. That was like $14 for a 4-pack or something.
Holy shit.
Honestly, dude,
Or-
this is not a style that I'm like too versed in. So I didn't know if I was grabbing like the Budweiser of Kolsch's or what. I just grabbed. It was honestly really hard to find.
I'm honestly not sure. Like I just like the taste. I like it's like a well-balanced German beer. I mean,
So as I understand, like the Kolsch is, I guess, has to be brewed within a certain distance of Cologne or something. That's like what qualifies it as a Kolsch. That's what I was reading real quick. That's
well,
what classifies it.
considering mine's from Virginia, I guess that's pretty bad.
You didn't go Germany?
Didn't get it. I almost bought those, and then I was like, well, I actually bought those last weekend and just to try them out. And I mean, I liked it, but I figured I would get like a local. I saw that there was like a local one, semi-local one, and I figured.
Right on, yeah. Well, so
know.
as long as it's not a bad time, I'm excited for it.
I have the Astralborne Brewing Kolsch Growlers or Growler Kolsch style ale, 4.5 ABV. So not really that impressive, but hey, there are other beers for that purpose. So
That's right. I think ours is only 4.8.
It's a good way to
Mine's
start.
only,
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what you kind of get from a Kolsch, right? Nothing too gnar.
I've got mine's 5.4. Whoa, getting
Uh-oh.
crazy there.
You win the raffle.
You win.
Yeah, this is actually Ballad Brewing from Virginia, Danville, Virginia, which is probably about an hour or so.
Nice.
I think they're north of me.
Cool.
Digital cheers to you too.
Cheers.
I like the glass.
Oh yeah,
I just had a terrible
self
pour.
promotion.
Nice.
Cheers.
Pretty light.
It is kind of light and crisp and almost like, I mean, I guess if you wanted to compare it to like a generic well-known beer, Heineken maybe would be a similar thing.
That's
Yeah, mine
close.
kind of has a little bit of the light struck quality you get in like a green bottle Heineken, which is weird, but I don't mind it.
Explain that for everybody, the green bottle. Because that...
I don't know if it's just like a recycling thing and just breweries being cheap, but I know a beer being light struck, kind of that skunky quality.
Right.
Some breweries want you to have that characteristic in their beer, so it's like intentional. Usually when I grab a beer that's been on like at the gas station for way too long, I get it and it's unintentional. It's pretty nasty, but there's a little hint of it in this, and it's not bad. It's good. I like it.
The gas station puts a particular quality into the beer.
Yeah, it's not the finest.
It's like,
And you guys ever dive into malt liquors at all? Because when you
Oh,
say
man.
gas station, that's what comes to my
Mickey's.
memory is getting Mickey's, yeah, because the puzzle, and they get progressively harder for some reason.
Oh, those
To be honest,
puzzles
that
on
was
the
always
beer?
really fun.
Yeah.
We never had. We don't have Mickey's out here.
Oh, really? Hey,
We
you
have like
a lot.
yeah, we have like your nasty like Ice House and nasty shit like that, but I think we get Genesee out here.
Is King Cobra one of those? Yeah.
I haven't had King
I've
Cobra.
seen that.
K
I've seen
Cobes.
King Cobra.
Nasty big 40.
We should have done a beer review of just like terrible malt liquor. We should do that.
That's-
Paul would
that's the
love
next
to do
one.
that.
That would actually be pretty sweet.
That would be
Yeah.
great because I think he got repulsed at that one comment that I made when I was like, dude, I drink, draft domestics. And he's like, oh, that's disgusting. I made
Yeah,
a comment about Coors, I think it was.
he likes Miller Lite. Paul does.
Oh, he does?
I don't
I don't know
mind
if he
Miller
really
Lite, to
likes-
be honest with you.
don't
That's
know
like
if
my
any-
go-to if I'm just at a gas station and I just need to grab a beer or something like on the way
You
to
just
practice.
grab Miller Lite.
Yeah, Miller Lite. It's like my go-to thing.
I don't really have a go-to anymore.
No,
I spend so much
nothing.
goddamn money on craft beer. I just always
Yeah.
trying something new. I mean, it's a blessing.
$200 orders.
Yeah, man. I got that Beer Drop subscription, so they send me shit every month.
Have you
like
seen
10
that?
beers.
There's
That's pretty sweet.
that massive PBR case that you can get like 100
Yeah,
cans. Like I kind of want to get it just for the novelty.
yeah, I
it's,
know.
it's like a fishing story.
Now that's a beer review. Trying to put those down.
Fuck yeah.
Oh boy.
Let's review all 100 of them. See how it
They all
goes.
taste-
Let's
they all
check
taste
the
the same.
consistency.
Yeah.
Progressively better, I would think.
Yeah.
Yep. As we went. Yep.
So, guys, that kind of takes me to my first question. You mentioned Virginia. So, what is the craft beer scene like there in general, and also what's the metal scene like for you guys?
There's a lot of craft breweries in like Norfolk. Actually, Dan lives about 3 hours north of me.
Oh,
in
wow.
Virginia, yeah.
Big state.
We met when he was going to college down here, like when we were actually playing another band, like a tech death band called Saega. But yeah, the Norfolk is about maybe 30-minute drive for me, and there's tons of craft breweries everywhere. And
Nice.
Richmond's about 45 minutes to an hour, depending on the traffic. And that's also just like full of craft breweries. And the metal scene in Richmond is awesome. I mean,
Oh,
Man.
sweet.
got bands like Municipal Waste,
Lamb of God.
Lamb of
Oh,
God,
wow.
yeah. A lot of big bands have come out of there.
I feel like I'm
Jeez.
missing a lot.
Cannabis Corpse, which is basically the
Corpse,
dudes from
yeah.
Municipal Waste.
Well, isn't Arsis from
Arsis, yeah. I was
Virginia
gonna say.
Beach?
Arsis, yeah. Well,
James.
Jim, they met at Berkeley, I guess. Like they formed when he was going to Berkeley, and then his mom lives in like Williamsburg, so I guess he probably grew up around here. But now I think he lives in Texas.
Oh, no shit. I had no
Yeah.
idea.
But yeah, I mean, around here, the actual metal scene on the peninsula and on the peninsula is where we're from in like Hampton Roads area. It's not very big. There's like a very dedicated group of people that go to every show when we do play out there. But we like Foretoken has actually never played live.
Right.
Oh,
But
wow. I
my
thought
other
I
band,
saw.
the Day of the Beast, and Saega, we played Richmond a lot, and we play DC a lot, Baltimore, just because they're not too far away, and there's like a way better scene.
Well, it sounds better than here anyway. I'm in Toledo, which is all the good shows come to either Cleveland down south or Detroit up north, which is closer to Derek's neck of the woods. But I wouldn't say the metal scene here is anything worth a shit about. And
No.
the beer scene is okay. There's been a lot of micros popping up in recent years, but in my area, maybe like five or six, only half of those being really noteworthy. And Derek's getting a lot more up where he lives.
I am, but it's the same thing you just said. There's only 4 or 5 that
That are
I
worth it.
frequent. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was going to ask Steve, so I was watching some Foretoken videos and I saw some live footage, or not footage, but photographs of you playing on stage. Was that just from another band?
Yeah, that was Dan was in the same picture. It was with our band Saega, which is like, I think he joined in like 2006. We formed in like 2005, and we played. About our album came out. We didn't actually put out a full length album until like 2009, and we eventually kind of just got really stagnant, and we just played shows here and there. We were playing the same material, and we haven't played in how many years now? Maybe 3 or 4 years. I still regularly see the other members.
No, 2. I would say 2, because I remember
2
we
years.
played a show when I came down to record some Foretoken stuff.
Oh
And I
yeah,
remember
okay.
thinking
That was
like, oh, this is gonna
2018
fucking
or
suck for
something.
me, because I'm doing like I'm gonna be screaming for 8 hours, and then I gotta go scream again, and then there's all the drinking, so
Double
my
duty.
body's gonna be trashed. So
Yeah, we were like during the Foretoken recordings. I think the entire day, like Dan would come down, and we would just crack open beers, and then like the entire day, we would just be like trashed by the time.
yeah.
That sounds like deja vu.
Sounds familiar.
Did you eat today? They're like, I don't know. Well, I'm not driving anywhere.
Like drive to 7-Eleven and get some like piece of shit sandwich, and then eat it, and then drink more
It's always
beer.
embarrassing because you see the same guy, and he's like, "You're back again."
Yeah.
They're like,
How you
oh.
got-
Did the previous band kind of morph into Foretoken? Like, did you have material that you ended up using for this project?
Well, Not really. Maybe a riff here and there, but mostly it was just, I think it would be fun to write like a symphonic death metal. I've never done it before.
Sweet.
I played in like a tech death band and like a death thrash band, and then I was like, it'd be fun. So I downloaded the orchestral software and I started like fucking with it and figuring it out, and that's pretty much how it happened. And then initially it was like I wasn't actually gonna do anything with it other than just for my own, enjoyment, just dick around with it and write some songs. And then eventually I was like, well, maybe I'll actually put something out and just do like a solo project or something. And then I messaged Dan and I was like, hey man, like, do you want to do vocals on this? And then he came down, he was recording, and then we were like, let's I jokingly said, let's get Hannes Grossman to play drums because he's like a session drummer. And then he was like, no, really, let's do it. So
Yeah, why not?
Wow.
Well, how did you get Hannes Grossman? What's the story behind that? How'd you guys hook up? He just
Fucking
pitched
messaged
it and
email.
he said, yeah?
Yeah, he's like, yeah, it sounds cool. I like the idea.
And we had to pay him, and he wasn't free.
No, I'm sure.
That's okay.
I mean,
But he
he
does session work.
can always turn.
No,
us
I
down.
know, yeah. And he's an
know?
amazing drummer, so that's a great we got Necrophagus,
That's
Alkaloid,
really cool.
Hate Eternal, and now Foretoken on the resume, so
He's
congrats.
always been one of my favorite drummers ever since like I heard
Oh yeah.
Epitaph.
He's got the fast feet and then the jazzy hands.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
got that
he's sick.
style,
Yeah, he's not just fast, he's got groove too. He's very
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
How about you guys? How did you guys form, and how long have you guys played in other bands? Or
We Derik and I we originally started playing together way back in 2002 under a band called
2002.
Forever Lost, which was like a melodeath kind of band. That had a short run, and then we formed together a pagan metal band called Hammer Horde, which was like Viking metal stuff, and we put out 3 albums for that band. That band kind of went on hiatus. Other guys stopped kind of being excited about doing another album, doing a 4th one. So
We had
Derik and
already
I-
had material written for the next one, which became
Yeah, so we're like,
Astralborne.
we basically reached back to like our first band's roots and got rid of all the Viking stuff and rewrote everything to make it a little more technical, a little more melodic. And then there's a lot of parallels with you guys, because I think, obviously being a studio band, I think you guys released Ruin back in May, right before Prosthetic picked it up. Is that right?
we actually put that out in May. We had no intentions of ever even like being on a label.
Same
But
here.
I made a comment on the. I
It's like the
posted on
same
Prosthetic.
story.
Yeah, I was gonna say we commented on a Prosthetic post or something on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we're
The
releasing
comment
this.
was
and you
like,
guys-
what are you guys listening to on Bandcamp Friday or whatever? And I was just like, oh, we put out an album. It's, people are liking it. And this is Steve Joe, who
Of course.
I messaged, and Steve was like, I'm going to check it out. And I thought it was kind of like I'll check it out kind of thing, but he actually did.
That's
and
awesome.
then it was, later on, he was like, so what are you guys doing with this? What are your plans? And then we just kind of got talking from there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, same with us. We put out Eternity's End in November, and I think Steve bought it and just shot us a note and said, what do you guys, same thing, what do you guys want to do? We said, well, it's a studio project. We don't really have any aspirations to play live. We kind of did this for fun, to just drink beer and do music that we don't normally get to do. And it just took off, man. It just, here we are. They re-released Eternity's End in May, at the end of May. And it's just been a crazy ride ever since.
I was going to ask
Remember
before
that.
we get too far away from the subject. So you guys mentioned that you kind of rearranged things from Pagan Metal to what Astralborne is now. Did you find that liberating in a way? Because you're like, hey, we don't have to talk about Vikings anymore. Or we can do whatever the fuck we want now. It's like, we don't have to play the same type of riffs anymore, same type of drum rhythms. Like, you can do whatever you want.
Wow, Dan read my mind on that one.
He really did.
I had this material, and the funny thing is, it just kind of, because when I write, I don't really have a preconceived vision. I just kind of do it and just see what happens. And it was already sounding more melodeath than it was pagan. Like, you could just tell I was coming to the end of that saga in my, if you want to call it a career. So we just kind of took the natural step and parted ways with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with the pagan metal stuff, obviously it's kind of pigeonholed, right? You have to sing about certain things, and you have to have that sound, especially if you've already established that with the band. And we tried to stray away from it. You know, we used to wear the garb, like the tunics and shit, and we stopped doing that on the third album. So we were already kind of straying from it. We wanted to associate less with the gimmicks, I guess. But yeah, it was definitely liberating to, you know, there was less restrictions, obviously less egos in the band. It was just Derik and I writing everything this time as opposed to a full group. And yeah, it's just, it felt right, you know?
And then like lyrically as well, I pay attention to that shit, obviously, because I write for Token. So you guys were able to kind of take a lot of different like steps in terms of like what you were writing about. It was a lot more like philosophical, and you basically attacked a lot of different things. And was that like pretty, I guess, also badass to do?
Yeah, I would say so.
I kind of let Jayson take the reins on that one because Hammer Horde, we left all that to our vocalist Tom Sterniolo at the time. And the last album we did, didn't you start taking over lyrics?
Yeah, when Tom quit Hammer Horde for album 3, I took over. And that was kind of the first obstacle, right? Was like, how do I come up with Viking shit when it's not really something that I really care about, like from the heart. I didn't want to just pretend, you know, we were able to make some cool songs and write some cool stuff, but with Astralborne, it was, like you said, explore a little more philosophical topics, and just come up with whatever nerdy shit we wanted to explore. And that's basically what we did.
So it must be kind of freeing, just kind of being, you know, cutting ties with like the whole, like feeling like you have to do.
Nothing against, you know, Viking metal or pagan metal. But
no, I mean, I love,
it's so
I'm like influenced by all of it.
Hard to keep it going, you know?
Oh, it is. I was going to say, you know, candidly, when I first heard, the first Foretoken song I heard was the Retribution. You know, right off the cuff, I was thinking, well, here's a really good band, but I just assumed it was going to be all Norse mythology thing. Was that the first single you put out?
It was.
It was. Okay. Do you guys get that a lot with like either people who are hearing you for the first time or just assuming right off the cuff that you're Norse mythology, like a Norse pagan themed band?
To be honest, I haven't heard it a lot.
Good.
I haven't heard a lot of people say that, but that's because I haven't. I mean, well, yeah, interestingly, I haven't heard a lot of people say that, but I was worried about that because that song, like when I was put this out, I was like, everyone's going to think we're like a monomorph now.
Right.
But I mean,
it's a great
that's
song.
Always a great topic, but I mean, I had a feeling there was going to be a lot of people that were, you know, that's what they're about, even though, you know.
Well, obviously, if you dive into the album, you quickly realize that's not the case, which was for me, but you know how people are. They do make that assumption. They draw that comparison. It's always a monomorph, of course.
You always want to
nothing
lump
like
into a box, you know? Like that's what I feel like a lot of people do when they listen to music is that they just want to quickly categorize what it is and then just like move on. Or even after the fact, you know, like if you talk about like genres, and I know we're kind of opening up a lot of different things to talk about with this, but like, you know, like the just talking about of genres, it's like, oh, that's doom metal or that's like sludge metal, or it's like they just want to know like, okay, I got it.
Yeah,
you know?
they want to label it.
Move on. Yeah, because there's so much music to talk about that sometimes they don't want to get into the specifics of what makes the band unique. They just want to say it's just a thing or it's similar to a thing.
Yep. It's all fast food metal, man. People just consume it, they digest it, and they go on to the next. They don't want to get into it. They shit it out. They definitely do.
Especially nowadays with social media and everyone's attention spans is basically nothing. And it's like an album comes out, they listen to it, they forget about it. And like we're required to just keep their attention. It's
a problem with there's an overabundance of music nowadays. Like I was just thinking about this earlier. It's like I don't know if 2020 is like a great year for metal or a shitty year for metal because I'm hearing all this stuff. Everyone's got all this time, and it was like holy shit. You know, like Cattle Decapitation came out. I don't know, not even a year ago, and it feels like forever ago.
Yeah.
Or like,
I know.
Like your guys' album came out, and it's like I remember you making a post, and it was like it was 5 months ago.
It's only 5 months.
5 months ago? Like, geez.
I don't even feel like posting about it anymore because I feel like it's old news. But you know,
I know,
still need to promote it. But
that's just what we're living in, right?
Yeah, it's just. But you're right. It is. Everything does feel a little oversaturated.
Yeah.
Everybody's putting out metal, and it's good and it's bad. I guess depends on how much attention your captive audience has, I suppose.
It's like a love-hate relationship with the state of the music industry today.
Yep. Yeah, totally.
Love-hate relationship with social media.
I was going to add about Foretoken's album. The good thing about that in this fast-absorbing, whatever you want to call it, environment we're in, I feel like you got to hear it 3 or 4 times to really absorb it. And I mean that in a good way. Like it takes, like when I heard Winter Sun for the first time, it took me 5-6 times to really delve into it and understand exactly what I was hearing.
First. You know, if I may throw in a quick, like, kind of anecdote about Winter Sun, I remember listening to Winter Sun. Steve, you showed me Winter Sun. We were on the way to Maryland Death Fest in like 2004, maybe, or 2000, maybe it's 2004, 2005. We were going to one of those shows. They all kind of blend together when you're having fun and drinking a lot. And I remember we were like laughing about like, oh, it's like Viking metal and the stars, and we were like, you know, laughing about how crazy it was. And then the end of the the weekend, we're singing about, you know, all the different lyrics and stuff. And even though we were initially saying how cheesy they are, we were loving the fucking lyrics, and it was awesome. And then, you know, the guitar just really just ties it all together. We
probably did the same, probably scoffed at it at first, just maybe because we didn't fully understand.
We didn't get it.
Who cares? You know, at the end of it, like, it's just fun.
Well, same when Time One came out. A lot of people shit on that, but I ended up loving that album.
I went back and I listened. You know, I thoroughly listened to that album, and I mean, it's amazing. I mean, Yari is like a musical genius.
He is.
Yes.
Well, you know, I saw your guys' some of your Instagram posts, and we do actually share a lot of similar influences. I was seeing Ensiferum and Naglfar and Old Man's Child, but the most important one that I want to talk about was Death. And I think I saw Steve. You had a pretty sweet Evil Chuck tat there.
You can see it. I don't know if you can see it.
So as far as influences,
dude.
Are you
sweet?
Derek's a huge Chuck. He's been very heavily influenced. I would say the same probably for you, listening to your style. Would that be correct to say?
Definitely. Like Death is actually, you know, I think Individual Thought Patterns is like my favorite Death album, but that album just didn't have a tattooable.
It doesn't. Nope.
And I mean, I love Leprosy too, so I was like, well, you know, I mean, I feel like Leprosy is like an album that basically just it changed death metal.
Sure,
for sure.
And, but yeah, definitely. Every Death album. I mean, I love every Death album, and each album is like different.
It is.
Yeah.
You can like really see the progression of that band into what they were before he passed away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, what's badass about Death is that they just really didn't care. And I don't mean didn't care about what they were doing. They didn't care about conforming to what they felt like they should have. It was just, I'm going to do a thing. And then literally everything warped around them, which is so wild. Like that, there's not too many bands that have the, you know, the confidence to just go out and just do that out of the gate.
Right. And have that kind of impact as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Crazy.
And that's why they're fucking awesome. You know?
You're right.
Kudos
that was probably the first band that, not that our music is terribly technical, but that was the first band I think that we started exploring more technical ways of writing music, was definitely through listening to Death and their later catalog.
I feel like Spiritual Healing, in my opinion, is like the beginning of, you know, that genre of music becoming more technical, I guess.
Sure.
And that's actually not one of my favorite Death albums, but it definitely, like, to me, it's you know, it's kind of like the beginning of, I guess you could say technical death metal.
Yeah.
I mean, that was kind of
think about it. It was more like chugging at that part. Like you had the Florida death metal, and then you had the you know, the New York death metal at that point. So I mean, really, it was revolutionary.
Classic.
Well, another guitar player I'm influenced, James Murphy, also soloed on that album, and that was just awesome for me. I take a lot of influence from both those guys.
Yeah, he's The Gathering by Testament is like such a sick album.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, I mean, yeah, that's like my favorite Testament album, but it's like one of my favorite thrash metal albums, like altogether, I think.
Oh, hell yeah. Well, we can't talk about solos and not talk about the James Malone solo. We already talked about Artists and kind of skimmed over it, but how did that come to be? Is it just like you guys know each other from being kind of from the same area, or?
Yeah, well, like my bass player in The Day of the Beast is my other band. He used to play in Arsis for 3 or 4 years. He was like the touring bassist for Arsis, and kind of, I used to actually, I lived with Justin, which is the bass player of the Day of the Beast. I lived with him for 5-6 years. He was my roommate. And James was coming over fairly often to like work out with him because he's like a personal trainer.
Oh,
and,
wow.
I kind of got to know James a little bit, and I shot him a message on Facebook one day, and I was like, "Hey man, like, would you want to put a guest solo on this?" And this is like probably even before we had Hannes Grossman, like, hired to play drums, and he's like, "Oh yeah, sure." And he recorded it at his house, and he sent me the files, and
That's awesome.
And it was awesome. Like the first one he sent, it was like cool, and then he was like, "Well, actually, let me redo it. There's some parts I don't like that much." And then the next one he sent, I was like, "That's fucking awesome,
mind blowing."
I was like, "This fucking rules." And I was
awesome.
like, "You mean I have to solo after that?"
Yeah, you had a duel, right? I mean, that's hard to follow.
But yeah, I mean, it fit the song like so well, and he's a cool dude. I mean,
that's awesome.
I hope Arsis continues to put out albums. I mean, the last one I thought was like really awesome.
Yeah, I caught them in Detroit on that last tour for Visitant, and I think Taylor from Paladin was playing with him at the time. I don't know if he still is, but our label mates in Paladin.
Yeah,
Another awesome shredder. I'm ready for my next beer. I don't know about you boys.
I had another one that I had opened before we started this that I poured into my glass and I'm drinking it.
Same here.
I ruined the whole palate thing. Like that's
the beer thing at this point is just like we're just having beer and just announcing, which is perfectly fine by me. Honestly, I am terrible at like if somebody said like, "What's the body? What's the nose?" I'm like, "It smells like beer, tastes like beer. I like it. I'm gonna continue to drink it." So.
That's all.
Hey, Dan, I'm surprised by that because I saw on your Instagram you're quite the culinary guy.
I like making food. I'm a big fan of like the one pot, like stewy kind of thing.
Same here.
I put in enough effort. I have like a threshold of effort that I'm willing to put in, which also explains why I like liquor a little bit more. I guess just it's efficient,
Yeah,
Gets the job done. What you got over there, Jay?
Well, we're doing our brown next. We have a brown from Sibling Revelry Brewing. They're out of Westlake, Ohio. This is their Pecan Brown Ale. 7.4% ABV. American brown ale brewed with candied pecans and brown sugar.
That smells nice.
This is 7.4. This is our gnarliest one on the menu, I believe. So what about you boys?
I've got the Samuel Smith's Nut Brown Ale.
Oh, that one's good.
Brewed at the Old Brewery something. And yeah, it's like from the UK.
Yeah, their shit's good.
I had one of these tonight already, and it's pretty good. But
yeah, right on.
I got a Southern Belle Imperial Brown Ale. So I'm trading up a little bit. This is 8.7 ABV.
Nice.
Anything with Imperial in front of it means you're going to get fucked up.
It's a boozy boy.
Sounds fancy. So I haven't had a whole bunch of these, but it says it's brewed with pecans. So I'm guessing it's going to be like a candied pecan-y thingy. I don't know.
Let's hope so. This sounds good.
Let's dive in, guys.
Got a nice. I know I was saying I don't really like. I'm not a beer person, but I can look at it. It looks.
You can appreciate it.
Good.
I have my Bubba Gump Shrimp Co.
Have you guys heard that like the optimal like pour? Like you got to get it like around like here-ish, and then turn it into a head. So it takes out some of the carbonation because that's what makes you like puke up shit. Is just having that gas.
I had no idea.
I'm not a good. Like you can see, I have like no head on mine, so I kind of botched it. But
also, I don't know if foam is important to have.
I don't know. I'm not a fan of it. It doesn't really do anything for me.
Yeah.
Is this a nitro, Derek?
No.
There's no fucking.
I don't see a ball in the can.
I think it's a Christmas brown, actually. It's got like snowflakes on it and shit.
Oh, this is from DC, by the way. I don't know if anyone cares about that.
Digital cheers to you guys.
Cheers, man.
Cheers, brothers.
Oh, you guys have mugs, man, or glasses. I need to get one of those.
We only made 3 for the 3 of us because we're drunks. But we have had people ask for them, so we might make some next.
You should, man.
There's enough interest in it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What's the best show you guys ever saw?
Oh, man.
Like best metal show, best whatever show. What was the most like thrilling, exciting show that you guys saw?
I could take this one, Derek. You were there. It was the first time we saw King Diamond.
Yeah, that had to be number one.
It was so good. I don't know if you guys are Diamond fans, but
Yeah, my girlfriend and I actually flew out to Louisville last year and saw him there.
Oh,
And it was
kick
amazing.
ass.
I got
it
really
sounded
fucked
so
up
good.
before they played, but I still remember it, and it was like one of the coolest shows I've ever seen. So it was definitely the theatrics were there, the guitar shredding was there, Andy LaRoque was amazing, and
Yeah, LaRoque's he's amazing, and
That stage show, man.
it just sounded so fucking heavy, like way heavier than the albums. Like what the? I was like floored. Like what is it? This is so good.
And his vocals were top notch. I was very surprised by that. Not that I thought he was ever bad, but just when you saw him live.
Well, yeah, and this late in their career, like seeing them, like I was floored away. I couldn't believe it. And then the second time we saw them, they did Abigail in its entirety.
Oh yeah,
that was insane.
Such an amazing album. Yeah,
so good. But that would be my answer. I don't know if Derek, if you have a different answer for your best show.
Something came to mind first, but that, I mean, the King Diamond one was number one, but a close second, you got to agree, was when we saw Children of Bodom, Hypocrisy, Nevermore, and Dimmu Borgir, all on the same list.
That's a hell of a lineup.
What a tour! They don't do tours like that anymore with that many bands that are that spectacular on one package.
So it's like all headliners in one show.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to follow that up before it doesn't sound as cool. Which is my favorite show that I saw was Children of Bodom, Obscura, and then the Devin Townsend Project.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
I think we went to that together.
It was an awesome show. It was so cool because like every band was just good in their own right, and it didn't feel like there was redundancy in terms of the genres. So it's like when one band finished, it's like a fucking palate cleanser. And then it all ended with Devin Townsend, which, by the way, if you haven't seen him or if anyone is questioning whether or not that they should see him live, it's like a religious experience. It's crazy, and it's
really
it's
that dude's like a musical genius too.
It's the same thing with like King Diamond, where it's like there's a level like that's added. There's a different dimension when you actually see it on stage, and the audience is getting into it, and it's becomes this like addictive, like this like rocket ship of enthusiasm. It's really
so cool. It's more about the live experience than actually buying the album.
You know, like, I mean, I like Devin Townsend, but I don't really love the music. Like, if someone said pick a top 5 bands that you really like, I wouldn't put him in the top 5. But the show though is fucking phenomenal. So that's worth something. And then Steve, I kind of cut you off. Did you have a favorite show?
Maybe seeing Cryptopsy at Maryland Death Fest in 2005 with Lord Worm. I think I'll actually say that because I remember.
Did you get the fleshy Eucharist?
He was like feeding people worms. I didn't eat a worm. Our Saega vocalist at the time, he was like, I'm gonna go eat a worm, and he went and ate a worm.
Oh man.
Holy shit.
But they were so fucking badass. Like Cryptopsy is one of my favorite bands. Like if you listen to my band Saega, you know, Dan and I's band Saega, you can hear a lot of Cryptopsy influence back then because that was like, you know, None So Vile is like one of my favorite death metal albums of all time.
Right.
I don't know how familiar you guys are with Cryptopsy's catalog, but yeah.
Not terribly. I do follow their the singer's podcast, Vox and Hops.
Yeah, Dan actually turned me on to that one. So
yeah, that's pretty epic. I'd like for us to get on there sometime. Hey, shoot us a note.
You know what's actually funny is that while listening to that podcast, my dad doesn't drink anymore, and they were talking about this is Randy Blythe was on there, and he was like, "Yeah, man, I really like this. I'm forgetting the name of the dog. It's something dog brewery.
Dogfish Head?
No. No, it's I'll remember it in a second. But basically, it was this non-alcoholic beer, and I recommended it to my dad, and he's like, "This is the best thing ever. This actually tastes like beer." Because
was it BrewDog?
It was BrewDog. Thank you.
Yeah,
he got like a 6-pack or like a assortment pack of all different types. So like he's really happy with that. So he upgraded from like Beck's to that, and that was a big change for him. So
right on.
You know. it pays to listen to beard podcasts. Because then you get recommendations.
Absolutely.
What about you guys? What like musically, like what are your favorite albums?
Oh man.
Or like I guess maybe you can just name one out of your top 10 or whatever. Like which albums like really influenced you?
What's in your CD player? What's last in your rotation?
Well, let me interrupt and say this. Maybe Steve will agree with me. Do you try to avoid music while you're writing in hopes that you can kind of channel in on your own, I don't know how to word it, just your own vision? Because if I listen to too much stuff while I'm writing, you'll subconsciously start
writing.
I don't want to say
adopting it.
Yeah, yes.
I actually sometimes if I'm feeling like I'm in a rut, I'll go back and I'll listen to some things and it'll kind of help me get out of that rut and I'll get like inspired. And then I'll almost like write a song in the vein of whatever was inspiring me at the time, but still try to include like my own, like I think I finally figured out what like my own style is.
How long did that take you?
What do you say?
I said, how long did that take you to find that?
I mean, a long time. I mean,
Sure.
Well, I do kind of feel like I finally like, okay, I kind of know like what I want to do with a certain song. And and I'll kind of write something in the vein. And to the listener, they may not even realize that.
What's your interpretation of that? That's what makes it cool, because you may not know it, but like when you're trying to replicate or when you're doing something that's inspired by that, that's your take on Carcass. That's your take on At the Gates. That's your take on whatever. And even though that went in one ear, what comes out is something different. And that's what's really cool, when you can play something to so many different people and they're like, oh yeah, that was my inspiration. And then you hear their output and it's wildly different.
Yeah. That's the way to do it, really.
But I mean, I do like, I mean, if I'm feeling good and I'm just writing and I don't need that like kick in the ass to like be inspired, because sometimes I really do feel like I need, like I'll be like a kind of like writer's block, and I'll be like, all right, well, let me just like go on YouTube and let me just watch some of my favorite guitarists play guitar or just whatever. It's something to just kind of like kick it in,
Yeah, that helps for sure.
I'll do the same thing before a writing session. I'll just watch interviews of my favorite guitarists, just talking about how they approach a riff or whatever inspired them, and that'll help too sometimes.
What's a guitarist that you look at, that you watch videos for?
Chuck Schuldiner, Andy LaRocque, James Murphy, obviously Yari, we talked about him. And I like some of the Dissection stuff, Abath from Immortal.
Dissection is like one of my favorite bands ever too. That's like,
yeah, they're badass.
Huge influence.
Now, Dan, are you inspired vocally by John from Dissection? Because I hear a little bit of that coming out.
Not necessarily, and kind of to speak to what you were saying, like do you listen to other people or not listen to other people? I try to, when I'm in writing mode, I try to not listen to anything, because I don't want to pull like a Dane Cook and just like borrow people's shit.
Subconsciously.
I don't want to do that, and I know that like that's just human nature. Like you just pick it up, that sounded cool, and then that's going to be reflected in what you're doing. I try to not do that consciously. But inevitably it's going to happen.
Yeah. But people are going to draw those lines anyway, right? Regardless of what you're influenced by.
I actually even try not to listen to metal like when I'm writing, because I don't want to be like another carbon copy of something that I already like, because that already exists. Why should there be a duplicate? You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I was actually going to make a comment about, your vocal approach, since we talked earlier about, lyrics and stuff, but not so much obviously lyrically you're writing some pretty epic shit, but I would say like phrasing, like your vocal structures, hearing kind of some like Karak Ongren, maybe some Abyssos, I don't know, maybe not, but obviously you're doing some really interesting shit to fit those epic sagas around the music. Is that a difficult thing for you? Because as I'm a drummer, when I approach vocals, it's very percussive. Maybe that's just how I'm programmed, but I mean, your shit is really woven, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I want there to be a flow to it. And what was especially challenging with the writing of Ruin is that the songs sometimes can be either 6 minutes or they can be 10 minutes or 12 minutes. And I was just reflecting back on what my opinion was of, songs that were that long. And I remember always thinking to myself, I got bored. And I was wondering, well, why am I bored? And it's because the singer was like reusing, the same riff or same rhythm over and over again. And I really like made a conscious effort to not want to do that. So that's why I try to make there be a little bit more melody, be a little bit more, syncopation in terms of what I was doing intentionally, because I wanted those parts to kind of stick out. And then also I didn't want at the time to have certain confines with what word choice I was using in. Cause like how you're like listening to it and you're like, and you hear like, and then he was there, and then the stairs, and you're like, that sucks. Like, I don't want to be like, I know it's supposed to rhyme, but I wanted to like really, I wanted the word choice to be precise, because the English language has so much specificity with respect to what you can choose. Yes. Why limit yourself based on
rhyming,
a trivial rhyme scheme?
I'm honestly the same. I keep the same mindset in mind when I'm doing it. I kind of will do like something percussive, like I said, kind of almost gibberish, but then find nuances of certain nouns and things that I like the way it sounds.
Yeah.
And then right around that, and then kind of go from there. But
one thing that really helped me is the use of alliteration and assonance. So, using that like as a, or, something, either having that same letter, whether it be a vowel or a consonant, and reuse it. So it creates this inherent rhyme within the lyric itself, even irrespective of it being part of a song. And it just has that rhyme scheme to it poetically. So like you can actually even mold it depending on like if the riff has like, like if it was 7 syllables or 8 syllables or 9 or whatever, you can just like tailor it based on that. So that was one of the approaches that I wanted to do, was I wanted to have a lot of flexibility. So that's why it kind of has that flowy element to it.
Yeah, I really dig it, man. It's well crafted. The whole album, obviously, it's a banger for sure.
Thank you.
You guys really outdid yourselves, and it's no wonder Prosthetic picked you guys up, because it's an excellent effort.
I'm actually working on. I've already got like 5 new Foretoken songs kind of like planned out. Like the riffs, the songs are written. I haven't done any of the orchestrations. I think this time we're going to dial back the orchestra just a bit, just to focus more on the riffs. And cool. I feel like that's kind of like out of the feedback that we've gotten. And this was like, the first album was almost like an experiment. Like it was like, I've never done anything like this before. How can I balance it? I think I kind of know how now, and it actually makes it easier for me, because I feel like I don't have the orchestrations are the most tedious part. Like,
they're a pain in the ass.
That's what you were telling me, Jason.
They're a fucking pain in the ass. Steve, did they give you any pleasure whatsoever to compose that shit? Because for me, it's a thorn in my side.
Well, I gotta get like in a certain mood where like, I'll have my keyboard in front of me and I find like the right notes, and I'm like, I'll basically like play back the song, play back a part, and then I'll just start kind of like jamming on the keyboard. And I'm not really a keyboard player at all, so I'm just kind of like finding notes, what sounds good.
That's pretty impressive, dude.
Yeah, your shit's really well done.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
The first couple of Hammerheart albums we did, like some really light keys that were just thrown in there, and then the third album I did all the orchestrations, and I wanted it to be really grandiose so that we could potentially maybe even do like orchestral versions of those songs that would stand on their own, and didn't really end up working out. So I had a lot of experience with that. And then when Astralborne came along, I wanted nothing to fucking do with that. So we hired a session cellist, Cacophonous. He's done some really good stuff with like Abigail Williams and other bands. And we had him just kind of go nuts on the album and kind of picked and chose what sounded best overall. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of a lesson learned. That's kind of probably where we'll go moving forward, because man, orchestration, it's just tough.
The way that I see it is like when you're doing the orchestrations, all of a sudden you turn into, you want to be fucking like Mozart or something.
You do. You can't help it.
And you're like, oh, I'm going to make this so big. And in reality, like you can't even fucking hear.
No, not with the metal.
You try to stick in there to sound amazing. Like you can't even hear it.
All those arpeggiated whips and shit that aren't even.
Exactly. And
the
I
funny
think
thing
part of the
about it is
problem,
that. Oh, go
I
ahead.
was gonna say that's part of the problem with Time One. I mean, like you
I know,
listen to a
it
song
is.
like "Sons of Winter and Stars," which is like an amazing song. You already had like 500 fucking tracks
Yeah.
with all these different things going on. When you listen to the orchestrations by themselves, now that those are available, like you can actually listen to them.
Yeah, all the
There's
stems are
so
out
much going on that you don't even hear.
there. I know.
I mean, it's almost like it's
Pointless.
And
The
then
funny thing
also,
is, oh yeah, go ahead.
sorry, I was gonna say you want to hear the guitars. Like you're listening
Yes.
to a metal album. Like you want the guitars to be there.
Well, he didn't like the way the guitars turned out, so he was probably trying to bury them with all that other extra shit. But
I think
yeah.
the guitars on there. Like if you ever listen to
they're
the guitar
fine.
tracks by themselves, they're like the tightest fucking guitar tracks ever.
Yeah,
It's
there's
like,
nothing wrong with them.
And that's like kind of like, I guess, a good segue into my point, which is like, fundamentally, Steve, you're an amazing guitarist, and then also
For sure.
the orchestration part. That's like an add-on to it, and that's no offense to you're really great at composing the orchestral stuff, but I think this is a parallel to a lot of other bands, which is like they weren't necessarily composers for orchestrations, so they had to try really hard. And it's almost like that effort. It was like, this was hard, so therefore I'm turning this shit up. You know what I mean? Like, and then you don't hear the amazing guitars, and then everyone is like, I just wanted to hear you. I like your guitar. I want to hear more guitar. And they're like, yeah, but I had to really try hard on this part.
Yeah,
So
I need
you're
a
hearing
pat on the back.
That shit way up here because
Please praise
it
my
spent
hard
a
work.
lot of time.
I'm gonna step away for just a second to take a leak. So
Oh, you gotta break the seal.
Break the seal.
Take a leak break.
We'll take this time to do a quick plug. If you're watching this on the Astralborne channel, please check out Foretoken on their socials. That's Foretoken_metal. And if you're watching this on Foretoken's channel, check out Astralborne. We're on social media too. Facebook at Astralborne Band, and then Instagram and Twitter at Astralborne_band. Give us some love too.
Stay heavy, everybody.
We appreciate the support. And
Yep.
thanks for tuning in. I'm done with my second beer.
As am I. I feel like we should wait for Steve to get back.
We will. We'll
But
give him
I actually have a question for you guys in the
Yeah.
meantime, because you guys seem like a fun group of dudes to hang out with. Do you have any cool tour stories to share?
All right, I'm back.
Uh-oh.
I'm here.
Oh,
we haven't ever toured as a band ourselves.
well, I mean, as part of the, I forget the name of, was it?
Hammer Horde?
Yes.
Yes.
I
That
think
band.
You're the brain.
We didn't make it out of the tri-state area, that band, either. We just played a lot of local areas and tried to stretch out as far as we could with them.
Yeah,
So-
and that might have a lot to do with like just our overall outlook on how to approach this band now. We've done the local thing and selling the pre-sale tickets and working your ass off for nothing.
Yeah.
And then when Hammer Horde came around, we were trying to be a little more selective on what shows we played. We did a few fests. Pagan Fest came through, Heathen Fest. We did those, but it's still local shows. And then we really didn't branch out, like Derek said. We stayed mostly local. And then with Astralborne, we really didn't have any desire to play out. We do kind of miss that energy of playing together and entertaining an audience, but at the same time, our focal point is still just the
Making
music.
music.
Yeah, and we're just having too much fun with this to really worry about like stressing ourselves out. To be honest, drinking beer and doing stupid videos and beer reviews and shit like this, it's just more. Maybe we're getting old, but maybe it's just more rewarding. It's a lot of energy and obviously financially and
Rehearsal time. It's hard to get three guys together anymore.
Derek lives about an hour away now, so not that to say that that's an excuse to not make it work. It's just our priorities are just, putting the metal out when we can, and everything else is secondary.
Well,
You guys
are
are planning
fucking
on?
writing good shit, so keep doing it.
Thanks, man.
I mean,
Appreciate it.
The album is awesome.
Appreciate that.
Are you guys
Appreciate it.
planning on playing shows once this shit show of 2020 is over?
A lot of
Once
people
COVID
have
is
asked
over?
us. We would need a second guitarist, obviously. We don't have anyone in mind. We kind of do, maybe. I don't know. But we've tossed around the idea, but it's
We
not.
never like to say never, but as of now, I wouldn't count on it in the near future.
It's not a huge priority for us. That's not to say that if someone offered us a huge killer tour package with like some of our favorite bands, that we wouldn't get a little tempted, maybe do a festival or something. But that's going to take so much work for us to be, you know, show ready and rehearse and stuff. And it's just stuff that we haven't done. We've just been studio specific, and we're already, you know, halfway through the follow-up album right now, and we're ready to get back into studio mode and just repeat it. And yeah, you know, some bands they live on the road, and we're Astralborne, we're not road dogs, to be honest. We're just, you know,
Three dudes that like to make music.
Yeah.
I feel like we're kind of the same way. I mean, honestly, I love playing live. I mean, you know, I have my band, The Day of the Beast, and we play a lot of shows. And but I really would like for Foretoken to eventually play some shows.
That would be sweet.
That will
Good
take a lot of work.
Finding a drummer that's sick.
Yeah.
Drummer is a thing.
Already
and
set the
also
bar
just
very high.
Yeah.
having the orchestrations, playing live with orchestrations, like
that
that
too.
part is not.
Yeah.
It's like the hardest
Yeah, I'm
part.
gonna have to get used to like a Celine Dion implant in my head, you know.
You have to. We tried doing that at a Hammerhorde practice way back in the day, doing the backing tracks. It was a fucking nightmare.
Didn't you have a little MIDI pad that you would hit with your stick and it would turn it on and off?
Yeah, I had like clicks in one ear, and then the symphonic stuff was coming out of the main PA stuff. But it's like, this is a nightmare. We'll never
That sounds confusing.
coordinate this.
Shit.
Yeah, no, it sucks. You could always get a live keyboardist who could just
That's
match
an
it.
option.
You know, that's an option. We considered that way in the back in the day.
And I have
Yeah.
another friend who, like my other guitarist in my band, The Day of the Beast, he's got another band, and he writes all these orchestrations and shit. And they tried out multiple keyboard players, but I guess none of them worked out. But
It's tough. It's tough. It'll be just as hard as finding a replacement for Hannes Grossman, but good luck. We're
I
taking
know my
the-
drummer
we're taking
in
the
The Day
low
of the
road.
Beast, he wants to do it, man, and he's one of those people. Well, where when you give him a task, he will figure out a way to make it work. Like he's
Nice.
like so like his
Awesome.
this Day of the Beast album that we're working on. I mean, I know we're not really talking about the Day of the Beast right now, but he has just killed it with, you know, I give him like programmed drums and I write like a ridiculous douchebag like double bass part.
Yeah, guitarist drums, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's
I
like
already know
so
what you're
fucking
saying.
unbelievably fast. Like,
Fucking hate when you guys do that.
yeah, I'm sure. But he's like, no, I'll do it. He's like,
Yeah,
I
no
want to
sweat.
do it. I'm like, I want
Well,
to
good-
learn
good
it.
for
And
him.
He does, man. He fucking powers through
Good.
it. So, and he's expressed interest. Like he's, you know, always talking about it. So
Yeah, man. If you can
Awesome,
do the
dude.
job, then maybe you already have somebody in mind. That's the way to go.
Well, speaking of powering through it, I think that's a good time.
Cheers, buddy.
Yeah, the new beer, dude.
I was
You
waiting
guys
for
have
a
it.
moment, and
Yeah, that's the
itself.
cue.
So
This one
I'll
is gonna
start
make
off-
me like shit my pants. Like this one's.
I mean, that's all on you. I'm not.
This
like,
is
we're
like the
separated
brutal
by
one here.
distance. This is not my fault. If you,
What do you got, Steve? You go first. What do you got?
We have the Galactic Cowboy Nitro Imperial Stout. from
Left hand.
Nice.
Great brewery.
Yup.
Yeah,
Love their
yeah.
shit.
And
Or our-
9% ABV.
Woo.
So here we go.
That's a boozy boy.
Oh yeah.
What do you
I
got?
got
there?
a Dark Hollow Imperial Stout. That is a 10% ABV, so
Woo.
it's going to be
It's gonna be
strong.
brutal.
You guys are going Narbar.
What do we
Derek,
got, Jay?
Derek and I are doing The Black is Beautiful from Listerman Brewing. They're out of Cincy. This is a stout with chocolate and vanilla. Black is Beautiful, if anybody doesn't know, is like the nationwide collaboration with all these brewers who are doing awareness for racial injustice. So this is Listerman's take on that stout. Only 6.5%, not an imperial. But
This thing pours like motor oil, by the way. It's fucking.
yeah, this does too.
Oh yeah.
This thing is
This is
decadent.
pretty intense here.
I love dark beers, for the record.
Mhm.
So I'm quite happy right now.
Me too. My
After- after
stomach,
the-
maybe not so much, but normally with something like this, I'll drink one. I can't drink more than one. It's just like too much.
You're one and done. It's very mealy, right? It's like it fills you up.
It fills you up, and it's yeah. I mean, look at it. It's
It
black and white here.
That's looking good, man.
looks great. Mine looks like a coffee. Look at the head of it.
Yeah, it does.
It's a dark head.
Mocha.
It's
Cheers,
actually
brother.
cheers.
Cheers.
It's actually delicious.
Oh, Jayson. Oh, that's good.
man, this is like really good.
Ooh.
Actually.
That's a boy.
There's like some really heavy coffee tones with this. I feel like if I dropped a coin in the glass, it would take a few seconds for it to,
That's
Yeah.
A slow descent.
you know.
This one is very frothy and creamy. I feel like I'm drinking a beer milkshake, but in a good
that's-
way.
That's the problem you
dangerous.
want to have. This is kind of light. I don't know, Derek. It's kind of thin, right?
it's thin, but the flavor is pretty awesome.
And honestly, the alcohol content, I mean, the alcohol like flavor in this, it's not too strong. I mean, I feel
Really?
like I'm tasting the beer a lot more, and like it's really kind of dangerous, actually. I could
Yeah. That's the best kind, man. That's the best kind.
Yeah.
That's the best kind of beer to have. I realized we didn't really answer Dan's question about our favorite albums. We did do a top 5 most influential albums video like a while ago. And I think the results that we agreed on between the three of us were Slaughter of the Soul, Just a Race, Symbolic, and Justice for All,
Hate Breeder.
and Hate Breeder, which was a close tie with Heartwork. But to answer your question, Dan, that would probably be our best favorite one.
Pretty solid.
That's a good lineup. Yeah.
We're quite stuck in the '90s if you can't
Yeah.
tell.
I feel like
We
I
all
don't
are.
know how old you guys are, but I feel like we're in the same age range, so that makes sense. You know,
We must be.
35.
I'm
I'm
35.
I
as
just
well.
turned
34.
35.
Holy shit!
Hey,
Hey, cheers!
I'll drink to that.
Oh, yeah.
getting old.
Drink to being old.
Man,
What comes first for you guys, the lyrics or the riffs?
Riffs.
are they simultaneous?
Riffs. Yeah,
Always riffs?
everything's about the riffs.
It is all you gotta go.
I agree.
Yeah,
No, you're right. That's the way to do it. Some bands will do like
They'll reverse it.
some vocalists will have just a running poetry or whatever, just things they have in mind, and then they'll try to fit that into the music. I think you guys are the same as us, where music comes first, and then you find a way to make that work inside the song, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I literally sit here with a metronome. Like I'll open a project in Studio One, and I'll have like a click set,
Beep, 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 beep,
Oh, yeah.
beep, beep.
and I'll find like I'll just start jamming along. I'll be like, okay, do I want this to be a fast one or like a slower mid-paced one or whatever?
beep 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 beep
Yeah.
beep 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 beep.
Yep.
Yeah, it's faster
Oh
for
my god,
them.
it's so loud.
Yeah.
It's a
Set
lot
the
quicker.
click, and then I just start jamming, and
Yeah,
then
Steve will
Yeah.
send me these click or these tracks, and it'll still have the metronome in them. And yeah, brutal.
For sure.
to be honest,
Okay,
finding
Steve.
that method has like really like as far as like my workflow goes, it's really easy to write songs that way.
Yeah.
I just start jamming to a riff. I find something cool. I'm like, cool. And then I'm like, what comes next?
Now,
Yeah.
do you send Dan like version 1 and he's working on it? Because Jason's about to kill me right now. He'll be working on version 1, and I'm like, dude, here's 2.0. It's way better. Dude, here's 3.0. It's way better. I just keep revising it.
Oh yeah, that's how I am. I'm like constantly uploading different versions of the same song, even
Does that
if it's like
fuck
the
you up,
tiniest
Dan?
change.
No, because I wait until he's done. If anything,
That's
I'm
what you got to do.
the one who fucks up Steve, because like I'll hear it and I'm like, well, what if this was like, I don't know, lower pitched? And you're like, what does that mean exactly? Lower pitched. And I'm like, if it was like lower or like a different instrument. And he's like, what instrument? And I was like, maybe like a viola instead of a violin.
I'm like looking through my sound library. It's like, dude, I don't know if I have.
I don't
it.
know.
He's trying to
Oh,
interpret what the
he's-
fuck I'm talking about, So
He's
Derek
critiquing the orchestrations.
Derek has the same describing words that we can't follow sometimes. He'll be like, "This part sounds awkward to me." We're like, what do we do?
Like, what does that
check
mean?
engine light. It's like
Awkward. That's not a. Just sounds really awkward. We're in the studio like mixing the album. Like this, Derek's notes say this part sounds awkward. Like, I don't know how to fix that.
thanks. Fix it in post in Pro Tools.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Basically.
Actually, people don't even really use Pro Tools anymore. So
What do you guys use? What's your DAW of choice?
I use Studio One. I have the full-fledged
Studio One. I think
Pro version. It's like the DAW that I started out with. Actually, my very first recording interface was a Avid like Inbox or whatever. It was like this little like 2-input fucking like little interface thing. That came with a free version of Pro Tools. So I guess the very first DAW I ever used was Pro Tools, but
Right.
I quickly switched over to Studio One. Some guy at a music store locally was trying to sell me like a PreSonus interface, and he mentioned Studio One, and I just kind of like learned on that one.
That's cool.
I still have it. I bought the Pro version, so I got like the full-fledged.
Right on. I think Derik and I
love it, man.
Derik and I use we use Cubase for like pre-production stuff, but the album is usually done in Ableton, which is what Paul chooses to use because it's free, I guess. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
They can all man.
My very first introduction to recording was late 80s, early 90s karaoke machine that had a dual cassette deck on it.
Yeah.
You would hit record on the one side, play your riff, and then you would slap a tape with a new tape, and then do it again, and it would actually layer it. And I just think,
that'd be crazy.
Showing your age there, Derik.
Yeah.
Are you sure you're only 35?
Yeah.
I know. It's like some grandpa shit there.
Oh,
what's analog?
Yeah, I remember jamming with Derik way back in the day, recording our stuff on some of those tape.
that Tascam 4-track.
Tascam, yeah. Holy shit.
It's so crazy, man, because I never thought that I would have, the internet and technology has just recreated the way people create music. I mean, it has. To think that I've got like one of my favorite drummers that I can like just send an email and be like, hey man, do you want to play
that's wild
album? And then he like emails me the fucking drums, or like sends them to Dropbox or whatever.
Well, sure. That's pretty amazing.
It's cool. It's crazy, man. Like it's really insane to think that that's possible.
And then also if we're to, add in a plug for Jacob Hansen, like he's really amazing at what he does. I think that engineering is a craft, and the fact that he was, a part of our album is phenomenal. And the fact that we were even able to bring him into the project is still, I don't know, it's still unreal to me, like that we were able to bring in all these talents from across the globe, right? We've got Hannes from Germany, we've got Jacob from Denmark, and we've got James. I always call him James from Dallas, Texas. We're and even Steve and I are geographically a little bit distant, so it's wild how just we all can connect and work on the same thing. It's very cool.
That is very cool.
And love or hate the way the music industry is nowadays, that's one thing that exists that is really helpful for creating.
I blame LimeWire.
Yeah.
Kazaa. Remember that one?
Kazaa. And
give your computer AIDS. Let's talk album art real quick. The album art for Ruin is pretty awesome, pretty ominous. Who's your artist for that? I didn't really get to research that.
Tomas Honz, Honz. He's a Czechoslovakian artist. He's somebody that I have been following. I just like his shit. It's pretty cool. And we chose the artwork after the fact. Just trying to pick something that kind of meshed well with the feel of what we were doing. I think the motivation for the art that he inevitably painted was that like he had went on vacation in Greece, and we are like, well, that kind of ties in with what we're doing, so we'll just borrow that. And it worked well. And actually, we've tapped him again to do a commission piece for the second album, and it looks killer. We can't like share the details as of yet.
Yeah.
You got to keep that shit close to the
that's
vest.
pretty amazing.
It looks pretty fucking cool. And it's really awesome to collaborate with an artist. And he's very kind. So he takes that collaboration well. Like I can say like, well, what if you did this? And instead of giving me like an eye roll, well, he probably still could have. I just don't see it. Via email,
he probably, you never know.
But we're able to like collaborate on a project, and to see it come to life is pretty cool. And that's something that I want to actually do at a later time is show the evolution of the picture when we're closer to the album's release.
Right on. Awesome.
What about you guys? Like the album art is fucking cool. I love the just the overall feel to it and the color. How did you guys pick your artist and such?
We commissioned a Spanish artist named Juanjo Castellano, and
you originally came up with the idea of the piece.
one of our bigger influences for like melodeath was Gates of Ishtar. We're a big fan of that band, and Century Media re-released their first 3 albums, and they commissioned the same artist to like reimagine those album covers. So when I saw those, I was like, that's amazing. And I thought it was really fitting with that band being a big influence for us. And we're, our whole thing was like reaching back to our roots and doing this album. And I thought it'd be very fitting to have kind of a throwback style cover. So I reached out to him and he said, yeah. We were kind of at the very end of pre-production when I pitched it to him. So he had, demos and stuff to work off of, the title track, and he just based the cover off of his interpretation of the lyrics, and it was one and done for us. We were like, that's awesome. Thank you.
Stamp it.
Stamp, seal, signed and delivered. And yeah, the rest is history. He's probably most notable for his work with he's done some stuff for Vomitory, and most recently the newest Black Dahlia Murder, which has gotten a lot of love, but we had him first.
Yeah, I love Vomitory. That's a band that I
Vomitory is badass.
Fucking awesome.
Vomitory, I think Unleashed he's done some stuff for. A lot of cool bands. His resume is quite large, but kind of still an unknown artist. But yeah, his shit's awesome.
Have you selected your artist for album 2?
We got to go back with the guy.
I was going to say, yeah, we got to use him again.
Yeah, we want to stick with it. We might even try to. Here, I got the vinyl here. We might even try to
pulling up the artwork on my phone right now and just like really looking at it, and that shit is like really cool.
We might try to mascot this. We call him the Elder, this stone figure on the cover. We might try to mascot him a little bit. See if we can get him in a new scenario for album 2. But yeah, definitely Juanjo for album 2 all the way.
Yeah,
he did such a stellar job on the first one.
That is really cool. I'm gonna keep him on for future releases.
Yeah, please do. He's a great artist.
The album kind of reminded me of like thematically, like that Rivers of Nile album, where the owls know my name. I think it is. Like I see a lot of parallels. Not saying there's just a lot of similarities, and that's a good thing because like that's a really killer album.
Sure.
If we're just like dissecting it in terms of lyrics alone, and I think that's really cool.
Right on. It reminds me a little bit of like the Colony. I don't know if it's just like let's see it again. Colony by In Flames.
But it's not as colorful as an In Flames.
No, it's not. In fact, I actually did an original like mock-up. We had like I do graphic art on the side. It's kind of nothing serious, but I did a mock-up for our album cover that we were going to use, and it was the same color scheme. So we kind of based it off of what I sent him for that. I was like, here's what we kind of had in mind for the purple and blue, which was the teal and mauve, I guess, was kind of the direction we wanted to go. And what he came up with was still very different. But
well, it was crazy being on the outside because you kind of knew what you wanted. And I'm just on the outside looking at your idea going, okay, that's cool. I like it. You sent me his. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this is it, dude.
That was a game changer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure. He's a great artist. Did us justice. Did us good.
Cool.
You think you're going to do the same thing, which is say like, hey, here are the general concepts, here are the lyrics, and let him create? Or are you going to give him a little bit more direction this time?
It's hard to say. Derik had some pretty cool ideas in mind for like kind of taking all the different subjects and themes of each song and kind of making a mesh of those ideas, using maybe the same character and putting him in some kind of scenario where he's multi-dimensional and having all these different elements in the same piece of art. But that's kind of a loose idea. I think we'll still give him the freedom to use his own imagination because that's where he works the best.
Just hinge that.
Oh, go ahead, Derik.
I was gonna say, just give him a pitch like that, and then just say, just go for it. Do what you want to do. I think an artist works the best that way.
Yeah, he does best just hearing the music and reading the lyrics and kind of interpreting it and putting it on paper. And he's got a great eye for detail for sure.
Notice both you and Dan, like is that the Astralborne album like artwork there?
There it is.
It is, yeah. We both have our own.
Dan has he has the Saega one there, which is our other band, which is that artwork.
Oh,
by-
sweet.
Proud of our shit.
Yep. Derek's got some of our photos on his wall. What do you got right there, Derek?
Our last album, I'll grab
I
it.
don't know. You can see it back there.
A little bit.
It's photos of us though.
He's got it. We did a cabin visit a couple of years back that he was very inspired by.
It spoke to me.
Touched him deeply inside.
What inspires you, Steve? Is there anything like outside of music that inspires you in like daily life?
Man, it's, our existence in general. I mean, like I think about it all the time. It's weird. It's like something that I always think about, like existing and like the universe and fucking space and all of that stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's just like the number one mystery. Something that we'll probably never know. Like,
No.
we all die. We'll never know. But until we die, and then we'll know, or we won't.
Or we won't know.
We won't.
Or we won't.
Die.
And then it won't matter anymore because you're dead and it doesn't matter. You
Jesus.
sound like me now with my lyrics.
But it's true, man.
Shit.
It's to me that's like the most fascinating thing ever. Like just thinking about that. But sometimes you think about it to the point where you freak out.
Yes. I recall being very young and having this existential moment in my head where I'm like realizing I'm an individual who sees everything through my own eyes. And it was very unique. And like, I felt dread inside, like, like a panic attack. I was like 12 years old. I haven't had anything since
It's like
then.
too much to take in,
I don't
man.
know if you guys ever had this thought run through your brain, but like I remember being. I'm not gonna get weird with this. I've only had three.
Please do.
Weird, man.
Please do, man. Come on.
I remember
like it
being in
weird.
like elementary school, and I'm sitting there and I'm listening to them talk about I don't know, like just insects and shit. And I remember thinking like, what if I was dead? And then like as I like mused about me being dead, then I like realized, oh wait, I'm in school. And then it made me think like, wait, are these people alive? What are these people? Why am I here? And then it's like a very weird existential thing to have.
So scary.
And then you're hearing like, and this is a thorax, and this is an abdomen, and then like, are you paying attention? I'm like, yeah, I'm totally paying attention. Thorax, abdomen.
Is this a dream? Am I real?
I got it. I was totally listening.
Oh my God. That's
Am I real? That's like such a true question these days. Like, am I real?
Yeah. Am I in the Matrix?
Are we real? Like, are we in the Matrix? The Matrix seems more real every day.
It does. It sounds quite
Like if
exotic.
someone in
Matrix
2020,
actually
if
seems like a
somebody
better
came up to me
idea.
and said like you're a simulation, I'd be like, fuck. That sounds
wish I
about
were.
right for this year.
Dude, it totally does.
What if the Matrix, or what if it was just 2020 replaying over and over again?
Oh.
Oh man, like Groundhog's Day, the 20.
Yeah, when
Yeah.
December 31st hits at midnight, and then it's all of a sudden it's back to 2020
Have you
again.
seen memes that say like December 31st happens, and then it's December 32nd, December 33rd, and it just like, keeps going. You're like, are you fucking
Yeah.
kidding me?
Never fucking ends.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Man. Yeah, don't get us started on 2020. We could go on for a whole rant about that, but
There's the good and the bad.
there's the good and the bad. Like you mentioned earlier, it's been a great year for music. Even Prosthetic Records, like you said, putting out some good shit. Yours guys' stuff included.
Fires in the Distance, man. That's another
Fires in the
good
Oh
Distance.
man, that shit is so
Fires
fucking.
in the
Like,
distance.
I'm normally
Venom
not
Prison.
into like more like doomy type things, but man, that album it's like so atmospheric and like relaxed
Yes.
to listen to. Like it's really good.
They did a really good
80s
job.
synth- The 80s synth of the Fires in the Distance.
Yeah, it's kind of like the pizzicato strings or whatever. That's
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. They did a great job with that. Shout out to Fires in the Distance.
Hey,
Probably not watching, but
Venom Prison. Shout out to Undeath. Shout out to all the prosthetic people.
yeah, shout out
Yeah.
guys.
Oh, Exist. Good
Exist,
shit
just
too.
put, yep.
Yeah, they're
I saw that lead singer on the Death to All tour. That was sweet.
Oh, was that?
Exist? That was him.
Man, I wish I would have seen the Death to All tour.
That was sweet.
Like I missed that.
I missed out too. Fuck.
I don't know how entertaining we've been, but I hope we were. So to everyone who's listening, I'm kind of drawing this to a close. So thank you for listening. Check out our music. We're on Prosthetic Records. Check out Astralborne. They're fucking sick. Check out Foretoken. And yeah, see ya.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers everybody.